Greetings, my friends. It's great to be with you again today. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the fact that people are spiritual, not just physical. We are created by God as physical, spiritual entities. And these two qualities are so intertwined that you can't affect one without affecting the other. And in the care and kindness concept, we are primarily trying to help you to see that a kind act, a caring word, or any care you do to another person is a spiritual gift, and it touches a person's heart, and that actually impacts them physically. There's a proverb in the Old Testament that says, "Kind words are like honey, sweet to the taste and good for your health." Imagine that. Kind words are good for your health. Now that was 2,000 years ago that they claimed that. Today it is a measurable reality. They have found that if you speak kind words to a person and they do a blood test on that person, their hemoglobin is actually raised. They are healthier. They are physically healthier after a kind word. So the kind words don't just go in their ears and stay in their head, but they affect the whole body. The bodily functions are touched and affected by kindness that we give to people. So that's such a very exciting and important thing that we realize as we talk about care and kindness, that a kind act is a spiritual act, that we are not doing something different from what we would do if we talked to them directly about God. You talk about God, you are giving spiritual gifts. But when you give kindness and consideration, when you make a call on someone, when you pat somebody on the back, this too is spiritual. And as we talked about earlier, God is love, and this is love, and this is God coming from us into other people. And it's blessing them and helping them spiritually and physically. All creatures are helped by love. I think there's been some quaint and interesting experiments that affect plants and pets, where they measure the health and well-being of these living beings and find that care and even kind words benefits them physically. And so we need to see people as spiritual. We need to see that they are not just physical beings, and that when we connect to them, God is coming through us to help them and to heal them. And so when we go to the hospital to visit someone who is sick, we are part of the healing team. People get better more smoothly when friends care about them, when people pray for them, when visits are made and cards are sent. These are spirit-touching commodities. And those spirit-touching commodities affect the physical being. Many years ago, there was a study that was done in a cardiac care hospital And these people who were studied were seriously ill with heart problems. And they were all connected to machines and EKGs and so forth. And a research person noticed that there were little islands of health in many people's printouts of their EKG strip. And at those points, they were puzzled why that person's heart beat healthfully during that period of time. Well, then they did some careful examination to find out what was going on in that person's life, in that hospital unit, at the point where the heart seemed to be normalized. And to their surprise, in each case, it was when a nurse or an attendant was helping the person, laying their hands on them and changing bandages or fixing the bed or straightening them up. But there was personal contact. And during those minutes of personal contact, the heart beat normally. I'd like to share a story that I read recently. It's really quite remarkable. And it's about a man who was a Spanish explorer in the 16th century. His name was Núñez Cabeza de Vaca. And he was the only survivor of a shipwreck in the Gulf of Mexico long ago. And a Gulf Coast tribe of indigenous Mexicans rescued him and brought him into their village. They were a sad group of people, victims of drought and famine, and many of them very diseased. Núñez, of course, had nothing to give them to help them. All he had gone down with the ship, and he didn't even have an education about helping sick folk, much less any medicine. All he had was himself and prayer. But to his amazement, in giving them his loving, faithful attention and care and touch, he began to see those Mexican people getting well and healed. They began telling him they were well. And he realized, as he said, I was far more than I thought I was. So that's what we're trying to stress, that each of us has an obligation and a responsibility and an opportunity to be actively part of lifting people's spirits, and in the process, their whole body is affected. Some of you remember the story of Norman Cousins. Norman Cousins had an illness that he learned was terminal. And he decided that that illness had come on to him because he had been through some very stressful and negative circumstances. So when he arranged for conventional medical care from the physicians, he also added something very surprising. He negotiated with someone to come in for a couple hours every day and show him funny videos, Candid Camera, and others that really tickled his funny bone. So every day for a couple hours he would laugh. And to the amazement of everybody, after he laughed for a couple hours, his body was measurably healthier. And he overcame that illness. He beat that unbeatable illness by resorting to spirit-lifting commodities called laughter. And that was just such a powerful example that we are spiritual beings. And the extent to which we reach out to each other, care for each other, maintain our friendships, we are actually in the process of taking care of each other and taking care of ourselves, because we are this physical, spiritual unity. And that which hurts us spiritually, hurts us physically. And the other way around too. When we get hurt physically, we get spiritually discouraged. And so we need a constant diet of helpful, loving kindness that we give to the people around us. And each one of us has that to offer. There is no one who's disqualified. There's no one who doesn't have it. There is no one who doesn't have a smile to share, or ears to listen, or a voice of encouragement. We are all part of God's party to heal and to help each other. So thank you for being part of that. And I'll talk to you again later.